If I can have your attention here once again. At this time, we welcome Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota. Kyle, currently you sit first in points with 3 wins this year. Halfway through the season, just talk about your thoughts so far and looking forward to the second half.
Yeah, it's certainly been a good start to the year. We feel pretty good about things and where we've been and where we've come from. So certainly we are excited about the events here in New Hampshire and bringing our Interstate Batteries colors back to the racetrack again in the Cup Series and trying to get Norm and the boys a win, and we'll see what we can do. You know, it's definitely one of those places where sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not, but certainly hoping for better things than others. But you know, it's great to be the points leader, and we'd love to be able to keep that role, but mostly get a couple more wins maybe before the start of the chase. But if not, you know, maybe save some of those wins for inside the chase, and you know, try to solidify our chances to come Homestead for a championship.
All right, we'll open it up for questions here in the Media Center. Please raise your hand, and we'll get a wireless mic to you, and please state your name and affiliation. We'll start over here with Bob.
Bob Parker, Scene Daily. You guys talk more now about experimenting over the next 8 weeks at all, considering how many wins you have now?
Not really. You know, I think our biggest thing is just about kind of going about it the way that we have already, and you know, just bringing things to the racetrack that we know work well. I think anytime you get off base, it can kind of mess you up. You know, it's kind of it's the old age term where go back to basics. You know, that seems to be where we always find ourselves, and just concentrating on you know, hitting everything the right way and making sure that you know, you don't try to do anything too far out of the box.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Andrea, then we'll go over to Claire.
Andrea Pelkey, ESPN. Kylie, coming up on 100, what's it like living that? Like, what's it like for you to know that number's there?
Well, to me, it's a lot easier than the media, I guess. You know, I don't think about it. You know, for myself, it's just, you know, it's my own milestone. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else's milestone that's been in this sport. It's something that I said I wanted to accomplish for Kyle Busch, not something that I wanted to accomplish in order to beat David Pearson or Richard Petty or anybody else out there, you know. So to me, it's just, you know, it's like when I was a little kid, I wanted something to reach for, so I put the Sprint Cup Series on a pedestal, you know, and went after it and tried to see if I could get there. Opportunity arose, I made it, and you know, now the next step is what else can you do? You know, you put a championship up there, you put a lot of wins up there, just something to kind of keep you going over the years, and just to kind of make sure that you don't fall flat and get stagnant and just ride around out here.
Next.
Sorry, can I just
go ahead? Yeah, go ahead.
As a historian or a student of the sport, do you think there's a difference between doing it now than when the people who have reached it earlier in the sport's history?
Yeah, certainly there's a difference there, but you know, to know exactly what that is, I have no idea. You know, I don't know because, for one, I wasn't even born yet. And those guys may not know because they're not racing today, you know, so they don't know what it's like today. But, you know, last time I checked, I didn't have a time machine in my pocket, so I can't go back and run in those days. Although I'd like to, I think it'd be fun. And, you know, certainly it's definitely different. Why is it different? I'm not sure that I could answer that.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Claire, then we'll go back to Lewis and then Mike.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. More so than ever before, do you think that there'll be a point where desperation sets in for some, and you know, people are willing to do things that they wouldn't do because of the way this format is? Those that are not with the wins, those that are on the bubble, on the line. And do you feel it'll be like a light switch, or do you think it'll be gradual, like at the restrictor plate races, where all of a sudden you feel that intensity? You think that's what we're going to be seeing, some kind of desperation setting in for some?
I think you will for some, yes. I think those guys that are, I think the bubble from 10th to 11th is like 4 or 6 points or something like that, so it's pretty close. So you'll probably see 8th through 13th probably in pretty good desperation, which typically you see about every year, you know, but more so this year because it's either top 10 or it's wins, you know. So if you're sitting 12th and you can get a win, you get yourself knocked back in, you know. So, you know, it's going to be important for those guys. And, you know, I bet that I don't know that you're going to see any craziness happening, I hope. But, you know, who knows? This is NASCAR racing at its best. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Lewis, then we'll go to Mike, Jeff, and then Reed.
Yes, Louis Frank Reuters. Earlier, we were talking about athletes who tweet. I was wondering, have you ever tweeted something and regretted it? And could you share it with us?
Not off the top of my head. I don't spend enough time on there to know what I do or do not tweet, really. I can't remember what I did yesterday for lunch, regardless of what I'm tweeting. So, sometimes it's messages that, are to fans, or messages trying to get the sponsor's message out or something like that. We've obviously have a strong following. I think we're at, I saw a sponsorship proposal the other day, so 72,000 plus or something followers, and like 8,000 plus on Busch Motor Sports. So we're doing all right. And I guess that just means we're popular. I don't know. Not as much as some others, of course, but if I had that bilingual thing figured out, man, I'd rack in some followers. I tell you that. Tony Kanaan and Juan Pablo, those guys, man, they seem to be able to figure that out. There are some things I wish I could tweet to put people back in their place, but I've got a little bit more respect and tact than that, so I'll leave that to the imagination.
Mike.
Mike Muller and MikeMuller.net. Congratulations on winning Kentucky. A lot of people consider you the best driver in the sport today, but are you a championship driver? Can you win a championship?
Appreciate it to Kentucky, but we'll see. I've won nationwide championship. Obviously, that's way different than a Cup Series championship. So ultimately, that's the next task. That's the next challenge. We're up for it. We're looking forward to it. I feel like this is the best opportunity we've had in the past few years. Dave has done a really, really nice job and building a team, and the team's been right there following him every step of the way. It takes leadership. It takes guys believing in the program, which I feel like we're at. So we'll see how it goes. I'd certainly like to think that we're championship caliber, and that if we can get one knocked out of the way, then we're champions for the rest of our lives. But, then we can go after 2, 3, however many more.
Okay, we'll take a question from Jeff, come back to Reed, and then Mike Vega.
Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Last week you were saying your most memorable wins, but you mentioned that you may not remember all of them. How many of your 99 wins do you remember? And, what can you remember, just the fact that you won, or can you remember details about the races, or why have you forgotten? They're wins. How have you forgotten them?
Because I'm thinking more about the next one than I am about the last one. When Kentucky was over, went back to the motorhome and went to sleep. Nothing exciting, no party, no up all night, and no old Dick Trickle stories where it only takes 1 hour of sleep for every 100 laps that you're going to race the next day. So, I went to bed and made sure I got as much sleep as I could for Slinger, Wisconsin to race the late models on Sunday. But like Vegas, I remember some details about that. I just remember being really loose all day. We making changes and just nothing would really work. But yet then we got track position, got out front, and Bobby Labonte was chasing me down, I think in the ask.com car, and couldn't quite get there. So I remember that much. I remember winning a nationwide series race at Daytona on the morning of the Cup race, and then finishing second to Jamie McMurray by like that much. So I remember a lot of details. It's just a matter of if you want me to sit here for 4 hours and explain all of them to you. I don't know that I've got the time for one, and probably all don't want to have the time for two. What percent? Oh man, if I had a little help and went down a list with somebody, I could tell you something about every single one of them. But off the top of my head, I could probably rattle off to you about probably about 40 of them, 50 of them maybe.
Okay, our next question from Reed, then Mike.